Let's bring in Janatan Sayeh, research analyst with the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, who he took part in protests against the Iranian regime in 2009. Jonathan, thank you so much for being here with us live. I want to ask you, you witnessed those protests in Tehran in 2009. You have contact with folks who are on the ground. What can you tell us about the state of the besieged paramilitary forces, how this regime is enforcing its law and oppressing its people at this stage in this war?
You're right to point out that the Basij and other paramilitary forces have been crucial instruments of brutalizing Iranians for the past half a century. And that has been one of the main achievements of this conflict, degrading the regime's repression capabilities, taking out these sites, centers, facilities that detain and kill protesters. Some of these sites that I look at, I was actually detained in one of them, and seeing that they're destroying it, of course, resonates greatly with the average Iranian who are seeing this as a war against the Islamic Republic and not a conflict against Iranian national interests. That is a very key distinction to be made. But that said, you're still talking about a repression apparatus that is still vibrant. It is still going after Iranians day to day, which is why it's very important for us as we enter the next phase of this conflict to ensure that the Iranians on the ground will have the capability to take to the streets. And I know that has been a key message from the president that said we are facilitating the conditions, but the final knockout comes down to the average Iranian.
Jonathan, there's a report in the Wall Street Journal that says that some in Iran are feeling betrayed by the United States right now. They feel like that they are worrying that they're going to be left with a devastated country, but the same regime in power. Do you agree with that?
It comes down to us distinguishing between a military victory or an achievement that could transform not just the Middle East, but the entire world. If we could actually ensure that Iranians themselves can define their own destiny, the implications of that is going to go beyond the Berlin Wall moment. You're talking about a regime that sends missiles to Europe. Of course, it has brutalized the entire region. So any war effort really should be centering on how we can ensure that there's going to be a government in Tehran that is not only going to be representing Iranians themselves, but also is going to be an ally of the West. So it comes down to really what we see the next stages be. But so far, all the signs are headed towards this campaign having two pillars, one going after the military and the other one going after the repression apparatus. But that said, the Iranians on the ground do not feel betrayed right now. They, of course, see this as the humanitarian assistance that they pleaded for decades in the past few years.
Jonathan, I want to show you this video out of London today. There was a pro-Iran protest in London. There was one in New York City. These are folks who are going out in support of these terrorist regimes, not only the one in Iran, but also Hezbollah and Hamas. There you have it there. What do you have to say about people in the West, young people especially, who are out in the streets right now protesting in favor of a regime that killed upwards, estimates of more than 30,000 people for doing the exact same thing in December and January in the last few months?
Well, not only is it disheartening, it's actually hypocritical of some of these actors that on one hand, when the war in Gaza was going on, we heard non-stop campaigns and protests. But once the regime was killing 40,000 unarmed Iranians in January, there was radio silence from these entities. So that is really, I think it sends the wrong message to Iranians. But I would highlight this very interesting note that when you look at Iranian universities and young people inside Iran, they're increasingly not only chanting against Islamism, they're talking about the unholy alliance between leftist and Islamist ideology and how once they're intertwined, they can really ruin an ancient civilization. To see that college campuses and young people in the West are actually arguing against what Iranians on the ground, the young people are actually protesting for, I think in itself just tells you that how much some of these entities are missing the mark, and they've failed to see where Iranian society has been heading to in the last, let's say, 10, 20 years.
Janatan Sayeh, thank you so much. We'll be following up with you as we continue to cover this Operation Epic Fury in Iran. We are thinking of the people of Iran, obviously, every day and hope change happens there. Thank you.
Thank you.